Okay, today I'm hoping this might be a very short video. We'll see how it goes. So I'm assuming that you already have Yunohost installed and that you can access it via the local only URL yunohost.local, or in my case it's yunohost.earway.in, but that's because I'm on sort of a weird network configuration. And so what we're going to go through today is just how to install Etherpad, which is an application for collaborative document editing. It's very simple, but also very useful. And yeah, just basically getting to know how to install applications in general. It might be what you expect, but still walking through it. You click on applications and you click, I don't have any installed applications, so that's why it says that. And then I click install. And then there's this app catalog where you can browse through all the different applications that people have packaged for Yunohost, different topics. But in our case, we want to install Etherpad. So we search for Etherpad. We click install. Might take a little time to load. We already ran into an error. Great. It's telling me you should create a Yunohost user first. And it's also telling me I can go to the forum to ask a question, but instead, this is just something I forgot to do. So instead, we go back home, we go to users, and we click plus new user. I'm going to give this user my name, and that's fine for an email address. I'm pasting in a password. Oh, it's requiring a last name. Well, I don't really feel like giving it a last name, so it's just going to get a letter. And yeah, takes a second. Now there's a user that can log into Yunohost and is kind of different than the admin. So I think that's why Etherpad was hoping that we would do this. So go back to applications, click install, search for Etherpad again. Etherpad, an online editor providing collaborative editing in real time. We click install. See if it goes better this time. We could give the app a label. That's fine with me. We choose a domain. Right now I only have one domain, the one from Yunohost, so we're going to use that one. And then we choose a URL, which is what appears after the domain. /pad works for me. Should this be exposed to anonymous visitors? This is fine. Probably it's what you want if you want to share it with people who don't have an account on your Yunohost. We choose an administrator. The user we created here is fine. We enter a password. Use AbiWord or LibreOffice to expand export possibilities. You could do that. I haven't tried doing that before. I feel like for now I don't need that. And then MyPads I do like though. MyPads lets you save your documents and come back to them rather than just having like single one-off links. And LDAP, I believe, is the login system for Yunohost. So it'll be like your user could have a set of pads saved for them in MyPads. So anyway, each app will have its own set of configurations. For Etherpad, this is the ones that you get to choose. And then you click install. The hope is that it's only slightly harder than installing a phone application because you have to choose a couple different, configurations for each thing. And then we see this nice logging thing as it's happening. If I remember correctly, on the Pi, it really can take some time. So I'm going to pause the recording. I think I had one time where it even took almost an hour and I had to refresh the page at the end. But then in the end it worked. So I'm going to pause the recording and we'll report back when it either succeeds, gets to an error message, or hangs and I have to restart. Okay, so the installation failed. There was an error, and it took me to an error page that looks like this. The operation failed. Really sorry about that. You can ask for help. Looking at the log, failed to download archive. I don't know. Unable to install Etherpad's MyPads. It could be something about my internet connection here. But I am gonna paste this to the forum. See what people say. But for now, I'm also going to try installing the Etherpad again without my paths to see if that succeeds. Okay, so now trying again. Applications, install, Etherpad, install. And I just wanted to see if I was using all of the same stuff here. I have to re-enter the password. But I don't install my pads. So I clicked no there to turn off my pads. And then I'm going to try again and see how this goes. Let's see. Okay, this was one of those times where the application install appeared to hang, but then I just went to applications. I kind of like refreshed the page. It was like in this sort of loading state. I went to applications, and then it was kind of grayed out over here, like spinning bar. And I just let it sit for about 40 minutes. And then eventually, when I refreshed, um, it looked like this. So here you can actually see the listed installed applications. So I click on Etherpad, and it includes, so I guess it might have been even 15 minutes earlier that it finished. Here's some different information and how to uninstall it. But yeah, let's see if it works. Okay, so that URL isn't going to work because solipy.8.nohost.me is not on the public internet on my instance. But let's see if we're actually able to just go to this domain. No, that doesn't work either. Okay, so I think in my case, because putting something on the public internet is a bit weirder and harder because I don't have a single router and I'm in this sort of mesh network situation. I'm going to cheat for a second, which is I'm going to go into the terminal and use this thing called the etc host file to make that domain point to the right place. Okay, because I can't currently expose my server to the public internet, I had to cheat a little bit. So I use this thing called the etc host file, where you can specify locally for your computer, you can like manually write an IP address to go to for a domain. So I manually set solipy8.nohost.me to go to the IP address of the Pi. So it's not doing any like external DNS lookup. It's just checking in the etc host file. This is sort of an advanced and weird configuration. So don't worry if that doesn't make sense. In your case, hopefully you've already configured your Pi to be visible on the public internet and for the DNS to be wired up correctly, in which case you can just go to this domain directly without doing the etc host thing I did. If you do want to do the etc host thing, yeah, you open up a text editor, open up the etc host file, and enter, and kind of follow the format that's there, and enter the IP address, a tab, and then the domain. And then I had this issue that in Firefox, it wouldn't let me visit it because it was like, this is weird. The SSL certificates aren't working the way we expect. So anyway, I opened up Chrome, went to solipy.nohost.me, told it to ignore the SSL warnings, and now I'm here. So anyway, I go into applications. I can see Etherpad. All looks good like before. And now, hopefully when I go to this URL, let's see if it actually loads an Etherpad. The moment of truth. Yay! So we can create pads. Call this pad hello. And it looks something like this. Loading, loading, loading. You want to keep track of these URLs up here because, as you remember, we didn't install my pads, so it's not going to keep track of these pads for you. Sometimes I like to keep track of them as bookmarks in the browser, or you could even have just one Etherpad called like index or something, and then keep your links to the other Etherpads inside of that one. Yeah, now we're here. We can type. We could share this with people if it was on the public internet. We could make an Etherpad web ring. There's no images, but multiple people can edit at the same time. It's a really nice piece of software. It's simple, but it's sort of beautiful in that simplicity. And it's self-hosted. Right now, not even on the internet. So I feel fairly confident that this text is not being transmitted to some server to be analyzed and turned into a large language model or sell me things. And it's probably just sitting on my Pi and transmitting between my Pi and my laptop. Anyway, this was a bit of a weird video. There was a lot of hiccups, but we did eventually get an Etherpad configured and installed. Hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully your install goes more smoothly. And maybe at some point I'll make another video under a more standard network configuration when it's not a mesh network, which is way beyond the scope of setting up a sort of standard server. That's all. Until next time.